And another wonderful evening.
Wonderful evening of darkness outside. It's getting darker earlier and earlier by the day.
Oh, yeah.
Weather
Fall.
Your weather forecast.
Yep. Fall is here. Fall is coming. I guess what that also means school started.
It did start, at least in this area today.
Yeah, it did. It did. It was fun. First day of school. A lot of the obligatory, hey, first day of school. Here's the pictures of my kids. And look how they've grown.
On Facebook is a kid going to school.
Yeah. I mean,
it doesn't bother me. It's just enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, it's the era we live in.
Everything's got to go to the interwebs.
And even more fun is all the school zones are active.
Gotta go use that back route to get around all the
How many school zones do you cross through on your way to work? Can't imagine it's that many. You have 0?
I go through 0 school zones. Because all I have to do is go up the boulevard and then down the boulevard.
Yeah, and there's no schools on the boulevard.
Princess Anne High School.
That's right, Princess Anne High School.
But I'm on the other side, so
I'm
good.
You're on the other side of town center. No, I think I have 4 or 5 different school zones I pass through.
A lot.
On my way, and all the class, the high school, the middle school, the elementary school, VOTEC.
You go down Mount Pleasant to get to work?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you do pass a lot of schools.
I mean, hell, just crossing Battlefield, it's like the school zone is the intersection. So, yeah, lots of fun.
Okay.
But, so how you doing, Ry?
I'm doing good.
Anything fun over the weekend?
It was a 3-day weekend, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, gotta love holidays.
Oh yeah, when you get the 3-day weekend, I don't know what to do with that third day, because I'm so used to Monday, Friday, 9 to 5, typical mamma jamma, and then when I get that extra day, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with myself?
What did you do?
Oh, well, Saturday night, me and my girlfriend Angelica met up with one of my friends from work, and we did a couple drink date at a local brewery.
Oh, really?
Farmhouse Brewery.
Okay, how was it?
It was pretty good. I don't like a lot of beers, but there are, once in a while, you find that beer that's pretty tasty, and I found one that was pretty tasty.
Nice.
It's called a Cena Stout. It was a coconut, vanilla, and chocolate mix.
And just remember, drink responsibly.
I did. Definitely a high count of alcohol, so that one glass was good enough for me.
Just one and done?
Well, one, then we did get cherry cider, and then I finished my friend's drink, so actually 3 drinks.
2 and a partial.
But we got some curry fries. That was very delicious.
There's a place over by where I work, or you used to, but where I work, it's called Whiskey Kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Have you been there?
Oh yes.
We've done several gatherings there, and it always gets me the buffalo cauliflower.
Buffalo cauliflower. That just sounds like an oxymoron to me.
Well, they take cauliflower florets and they prep them just like you would hot wings. So instead of like a buffalo wing, it's a piece of cauliflower with this really strong buffalo wing type sauce.
I would probably eat it because I like cauliflower.
It was good.
Rice.
It's definitely got a bite.
Yeah, so I would try it because I like cauliflower rice. So.
Yeah, and I like it because it's alternative to trying to eat healthy or whatever. Healthier.
Well, as long as you can mix it and make it taste like the bad food, then it's so good for you.
Oh yeah, I'm dying to try zucchini noodles.
Zucchini noodles. She has had zucchini noodles at Noodles and Company.
So, but I want to get the little attachment for my KitchenAid to where I can make, peel the zucchini into where it makes noodles and do that for a spaghetti or something, just to try it. Can't say I like it, but I at least want to try it.
Hey, it's nothing wrong to try something at least one time with food.
Yeah. Well, I did start doing protein shakes or smoothies because with my schedule on Thursdays being so tight, it's I really don't have time to eat, or I'd eat bowling alley food.
And that's not always healthy.
No.
I mean, the beer is good, but not...
Actually, I don't really drink. Most of my friends don't drink.
Interesting.
I don't have anyone I can go drinking with, so I don't drink.
Well, you have me. I'm starting to venture into the beer culture a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Always invited on a wine trip, too.
Yeah, well, The wine trips are always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's more the driving and the traveling and,
Oh, yeah.
roaming. Because I'm one of those, I like to roam.
And I'll roam with the wine trips.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But, yeah, I started doing smoothies because of my schedule. And it's like, trying to figure out a recipe for that. And it's like, oh, that's fun. Get to experiment. Haven't been doing too bad so far.
Yeah.
So, what was it? So, so what did you do Monday?
Monday.
You said Monday was the day as a holiday. You didn't know what to do with yourself. What did you do on Monday?
Well, I cut the grass in the morning.
Okay, did chores. That's good. That's good.
Then we ventured out to a ramen place out in Norfolk.
Nice. How
And
was
then
the food?
Oh, it was pretty delicious. It's the first time I've ever seen like chunks of onions in the ramen. I mean, they'll have like diced or something, but it was like chunks of the onion,
like
raw
the
onions.
Curve.
Yeah, which is fine. Onions don't bother me, but it was a little bit different. But I got the ebi curry ramen, so it was really good.
Nice.
And so curry soup with ramen, very delicious.
So how would you rank this on your food preferences?
I say right in the middle. It's average.
It's average.
It's average. There's other better noodle places around that I like.
But this one was fairly
good.
decent.
It's fairly decent.
Okay.
The other places.
What's the price point for it?
It's about right average about $10-$12
per person.
Yeah.
And
So,
the quantity of food.
oh, pretty good.
Like, because some people sometimes, and this is just seems how it is. You order any kind of Oriental type food, and you always get enough for like 2 people.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
So
enough for me.
so,
I'll take you to a
I mean,
couple places that it might seem like it's more than one person.
yeah, because I know, like, if I do a Chinese food order, I can get 3 meals out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just because it's like, yes, I could eat the whole thing in one, but then I feel bad. When you overeat, you can just feel bad.
I need to venture back out in Virginia Beach. I need to take you to my favorite noodle place.
Okay. I'm sure we can find time for that.
Yeah.
Have friends that are foodies is my
yes.
best advice.
Oh yeah, and you have one right here. Here's
I have several friends that are foodies. It's like they want to go out. Where do you want to go? Cool.
Yeah.
Or it's, hey, we'll go check this place out. What do you guys think? Because you're foodies.
Well, yeah, I ventured you out every place all the way from Richmond and back. So
yeah, we've definitely sampled some interesting cuisine.
So, but yeah, the place is called Noodle Man.
Noodle Man.
It's really a good place to get ramen.
Keep that in mind for when I have time. So, all right. So that's what you did on Monday. You went. You found the noodle place and did the mowing.
Yeah, I did get in more playtime with Shadows of the Tomb Raider. And I must say, that story's getting really good.
Oh, really? You got past the Aztec village?
Yes.
Okay.
And the crazies that were in the mountain. They were pretty crazy. But now, further on. So
I'm gonna have to dive back into it. Let's see. My weekend was the airsoft field. Naturally, I'm out there like every weekend.
Pew 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 pew.
But the kids went out and the kids had fun on Saturday, and then Sunday I hung out there to work in the barn for the day, which was a lot of fun. We had a lot of people come and rent and check out the field for the first time.
Did they go out and shoot?
Oh yeah, they had a blast. They had an absolute blast.
Well, that's good.
So, but it was pretty busy for a Sunday. But hey, it was great weather, good times. And then Monday, it was a friend of mine texted and said, "Hey, it's Monday. What do we want to do? Do we want to get together and play games? Do we want to, watch a show? How about we do some Warhammer minis?" And it's like, well, I haven't done that in months. Let's do the Warhammer minis. And yeah, that was a fun time for the simple reason that we hadn't played in like 3 or 4 months. So I set up the table and I took the dungeon stuff I had made, which is all kind of modular pieces. So it's like foam Legos at this point.
Okay.
I built up this big castle ruins with catwalks connecting, and it was 3 friends came over, Penumbra and his brother, and then my buddy D, and our friend Raph showed up.
That's cool.
So we were all there. Raph had never played. He'd always heard about this miniature thing and wargaming thing, so we wanted to check it out.
Perks the interest.
And since D has a cast on one hand, he's not very good at the whole articulated movement.
Yeah.
Right? So he was just going to be advising, and Raph was going to roll die. Well, Raph could only stay for a little bit because he had to go.
Yeah, okay.
He had to do the dad thing, so got to respect the dad thing.
Got to do it when you got to do it.
Yeah. So, but we decided on a point control where there were 8 points on the map. You had whoever had the most control points at the end of the game won. It's kind of an impromptu scenario. It's more we're trying to go through the motions to learn how each of these things play. It's not like any other kind of board game or whatever. It's just each unit's got different things and all these dice, and it's like me, I've never played with the minis I've got.
Okay.
So it's like I wanted to play with them. I wanted to, try it, see how it goes. And then it was like, they're like, well, they wanted to get into the minutia of, okay, how many points per army and this and that. I said, no, let's just keep it simple. I have 19 minis.
Okay.
You guys each field 19 minis. Whatever 19 you want. And they was like, that could be really overpowering. It's like, hey, it's a point control game.
Yes.
It's not a straight out fight.
Yeah, you gotta control.
You gotta
territory.
think about what minis to pick. So we ended up picking them and doing it. We got 3 turns. Keep in mind that everybody arrived after 1 p.m. Did not go home until after 9 p.m.
Yeah, it's a pretty long day.
Well, a lot of it is okay discussing the rules. We settled on point control, 5 rounds. If anyone had 5 points on the map and they survived a round, it was game over. They had overwhelming control. If one person was completely, because we did 2 teams of 2, if one person's army was completely wiped off the map, the game was over.
Yeah.
And whoever had the most control points at that time would win. And then it's when we do decide to stop, whoever has the most control points. Now, I made some mistakes with my army deployment because I didn't know enough about my army, right? Yeah. But I had set my army up, 1 unit in one building, 1 unit in another building, and I just sat there. I did not move.
So it took like a defense
I
position.
took defensive. Okay. The idea was point control.
Yeah.
I've got 2 given.
Yeah.
And then we rolled through, by the end of the 3rd turn, it was 9 o'clock. It was like, all right, we're going to call it. The team I was on, it was me and Penumbra.
Yeah. He
played Blood Angels, I played Dark Angels, and we had 3 points on the map.
Okay.
So we won.
There you go.
But it's all the miniatures and this and that. And we're like, yeah, we really got to paint these. It's like, yeah, we'll get there someday.
Someday.
But it was that whole story creation. It's like, okay, here's this. Because they all love the map. And I posted pictures of it up on my Instagram, which you liked a few of them.
Oh, yeah, I saw them. I was like, that looks interesting. Like.
Yeah, so it was this, okay, I've got these pieces I've built.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I built them for one map in D&D.
Yeah.
And I've reused them for like 3 different Warhammer maps and some other D&D stuff. So it's like, I got to build more.
Yeah, more to come.
Oh yeah, but the tabletop playing the Warhammer 40K was a lot of fun. Got to, again, because, and the thing is the reason why it's like, okay, I have 19, you guys pick 19. The 3 of them have like 2 or 3 different armies. So it's like, I'm in a straight up fight, I will be wiped off the map every time.
They just look at you and be like,
but because they also have so many, I was like, well, I field 19, you field 19. If it works, cool. I was thinking we could kind of get this sped up and moving along.
It didn't seem to happen.
Well, it was okay going through, and because we're constantly going back into the books, debating the rules, and we're not like, trying to be sticklers, but it's a lot like any other skill thing. You go to try to learn it, and you've got to do it a few times till you get it.
Yeah. It's a term over and over I use when in my training. I say rinse and repeat. You got to just do it over and over, and then it becomes second nature, or you become to be able to analyze whatever you're doing.
Well, and part of the problem we don't play more often is I have to keep multi-purposing my living room for these various games. So it's not like I can...
remember coming here one day and there was a table and everything up.
Yeah, it was just like, I've got to set up for this,
Yeah.
so this is like, I don't have a space yet to have a dead, just like, okay, just set it up, we'll play, and come and play.
Yeah.
That's the goal of the studio.
Exactly.
Get the studio going, and that will be game time whenever. It'll be, hey, I've got a free evening. Who wants to come and play? We'll play a game.
Yeah. Play some D&D, play some Warhammer, play anything.
Yeah. Anything fun, and then if we get into streaming it, we can do live games and have good times.
Oh, yeah. Definitely would be a blast.
Yeah. Which we'll get some more gaming stuff talking about. Let's, so... That's what I did. That's what I did for my holiday.
Oh, yeah.
And whatnot. So
just a different variation of game. I grab the controller. You grab minis.
Yep. I grab minis.
That's pretty much it.
Lots and lots of minis.
Running around, taking names, and conquering worlds.
Yeah.
And you won.
But it was fun. It was just, I was sitting there and I was just like, okay, let me see how this kind of fits. And then it's like, oh, it gets bigger and bigger. And it's like, oh, let's add some more things. And it was like, hey, you got multiple levels of terrain for line of sight and all these tactical things. It was great. All right, so on our docket for today, we have a couple of little minor things. It's a fairly slow week right now. I guess it's the end of summer, beginning of fall, winter season.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend is like the transition moment. Like, you're winding down from the summer season. This is I've said this before in other podcasts. It is the dumping ground. My brother literally told me he walked out of a movie I never even heard of. So that's just giving you an indication of how much of a low this weekend is.
Actually, and the thing is, they had their ticket sale numbers. They wrapped up the ticket sale numbers, and there was a 2% drop in ticket sales this year over last year.
Well, I can see why, because there was a lot of really bad movies that came out during for the summer season. There was a lot of just rehashing of stuff, other than the big players that were obvious, like Avengers.
There were several of them that crossed the $1 billion mark, or more than a few $1 billion.
Yeah, but it was only like 3 or 4, whereas like you had the High and Mighty, and then the rest of the films were all just leveled out or just didn't make the mark at the bottom.
I'm wondering if a lot of that is just the cost of going to the movies.
Well, it could be the cost, and it could also be just the rehashing of stories. There's not a lot of original content. It's either just a re-imaging of something, a sequel, or just just adding on top of a story you've already seen. So, for example, you had the Men in Black International. It was a pseudo sequel / reboot. Didn't work.
Bombed.
And then you had a lot of other films that they thought would make money but didn't, like Godzilla sequel. They thought it'd do better at the box office. It didn't. Some that people didn't even think were going to do good did more better than others, like Aladdin. We mentioned a few weeks ago they made $1 billion. People were just trashing that film, thinking it wouldn't do it, and it's one of the highest grossing films of the year. So it's just been a lot of hit and misses, and more misses than hits.
I think I heard on it was one of the IGN news feeds. It was like 2%. No, it was my Wall Street Journal morning with Gordon Deal, and it was talking about. Of course, Disney had the majority of the ticket sales, but overall they were still down 2%, which is the number of tickets that were sold this season is equivalent to back in '94 ticket sales.
Yeah. And also that plays in that there's a lot of other avenues to watch things. They're the heavily streaming market. Disney's going to become part of that in a couple months. You just have a lot of other ways to entertain yourself other than streaming, and then other platforms online. Then just different access to other things.
Those people who don't want to pay.
Yeah.
And find their rips and everything. But I'm also looking at, it's like, if I go to the theater, it's like 5 people to go to the theater.
Yeah.
Ticket prices being ticket prices.
Yeah, the average ticket price right now is about $13, give or take.
5. Yeah, I could pay that plus, and that doesn't even count snacks and drinks.
Oh yeah.
Or pre-order the movie on iTunes for like $20.
Yeah, there's just so you could do the latter, but there's just been a lot of films that have just not hit the mark.
Not hit the mark.
It just not hit the mark. So like I mentioned those two, they thought would do a little bit better. It didn't really bring in a lot. Then you had some other films you thought would bring in. You had the Annabelle movie, a horror movie you thought would gravitate some garnering. Didn't really get the money or the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's been a lot of just indie films that have come out that they thought would make more money, because that's where the 2% would be made up, is the smaller films. Like a few years ago, like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it was one of those like silent summer hits. It just stayed in the top 5, just making money after money after money. So you had films like really good films that are just not making the money. Like there was a comedy that came out, coming of age comedy that came out in June called Booksmart, just was here and gone. You have had Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic. They thought it got rave reviews and the people liked it. Not a lot of people saw it. You had The Secret Life of Pets 2, thought it would make more money. It didn't. Yesterday, another one of those indie films they thought would just simmer right here. It made some money, but not a lot. So all those little films just around the edges they thought would make more money, didn't. And near the end, a few of those other films, like one I reviewed, Blinded by the Light, they thought it would be a sleeper hit. Not really. Angry Birds 2, it might have been, number 1, but it didn't make the same money the first movie made, even though it got better reviews. And then you had the couple kids movies, like the Dora movie didn't make the money.
No.
So it was a lot of misses. And you have pretty big bombs like Dark Phoenix. So, like I said, for all the greatness that like Avengers, Toy Story 4, Spider-Man, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Hobbs and Shaw, you had a lot of misses.
Yeah, a lot. I would see that. I mean, they were saying like Angel Has Fallen was number 1 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that just speaks to the weekend. So.
I've seen Olympus Has Fallen. I never saw the rest of them.
Like I said before, Olympus Has Fallen was a surprise, fun film. London Has Fallen was just complete reverse. So that's why I didn't even go see Angel Has Fallen, because I was just like, there's a lot of other options to watch. I could catch up on some shows. Yeah.
So, all right, well, keeping with our movies, since we're doing our movie update, why don't we talk about, we have the fall film. We're getting into the fall season. We're getting into the Oscar contender season, right?
Oh, yeah. So September, you start to see some of those smaller films start to be leveling near the top. So because there's not a lot of blockbusters. So this is when it starts that transition where you start to see films that are roaming the movie film circuit. And like you said, the Oscars. So
when is quote unquote Oscar season? Oscar
season starts in about October. Like there are films that come out throughout the year that are considered Oscar contenders.
Of course.
AKA like
Infinity War. Obviously, Endgame is going to have some.
It's going to have to get some Oscar contenders because it became the highest grossing movie of all time.
So there's going to be some nominations, whether it's soundtrack, special effects. I don't know if we're going to get a best supporting actor or best...
some of the films that came out the early part of the year that might sneak up there like best picture contender, you have like Us, Avengers, just because of the amount of money and what it did. You have QT's film, something about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is getting buzz. But where the films start to hit, like you said, is where October. So they start to go up, and up. So.
All right. So what are some predictions?
So we pulled up a list found on time.com. They have a list of the 36 most anticipated movies of fall 2019. And they start out with a bang, which is a film I will be seeing this weekend, which is It Chapter 2.
Yeah. Okay. I heard the casting on that was spot on.
Yeah. And from the grapevine, they're saying it's a good conclusion to this to the part 1. But I'll leave my reservations till I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Another small film called The Goldfinch, which is based on a book. So it's one of those sleeper indie films. Hopefully it makes some money. Hustler, it's led by Jennifer Lopez, and it follows an adaptation about strippers. The trailers made it look interesting because it looks like it's a pseudo like a girl power style film, but it's actually based on a true story. So we'll see. They're actually making a film version of Downtown Abbey, so that comes out at the end of September, and then you got
Seems
that.
to be a lot of those. I mean,
yeah.
We had the Deadwood film.
I haven't watched it, but I do want to watch that. And then you had the Breaking Bad film on Netflix coming out soon.
So they want to do these film things. Normally, you see that in anime.
Oh yeah, a lot of anime series like to do that, but it seems like a lot of these TV series, and it's usually TV series that have come to an end, and they're just kind of like either adding or wrapping up.
Yeah.
Ad Astra, which is that Brad Pitt sci-fi movie, which looks very intriguing. So hopefully there's more twists to it.
Given the films that Brad Pitt normally acts in, it's probably definitely got some real good dialogue.
Just skimming through the list, they have a biopic of Judy Garland called Judy coming out, with Renee Zellweger in the lead, and she's a pretty good actress, so that's a hint. Steven Soderbergh is coming back with a film called The Laundromat, so we got something kind of weird out there. October 4th, which you told me earlier, The Joker. Yeah. Which is getting a lot of big buzz out there, saying that
I'm really excited because it's not so. From what I'm hearing with that one is it's not so much about the DC source material. Yeah. It's a kind of its own film, and it seems to be has more in context with an older Robert De Niro film, where he was the comedian, the struggling comedian.
Oh yeah.
And
he's
in this one, so it
has a lot of mixture. Like they said, a lot of influences came from the set of its 70s films like Taxi Driver and Mean Streets, as well as the inspiration came from the comic book The Killing Joke. So they're pulling from a lot of stuff. So hopefully it's a surprise hit.
It's going to be interesting. I'm definitely curious just because this will be an interesting kind of. It's an 80s period piece, so
yeah. So some other notable that are coming out leading in October. You have Lucy in the Sky, which is another sci-fi film with Natalie Portman is one of the stars in here, and John Hamm and Zazie Beetz are co-stars. So it focuses on the mission with Buzz Aldrin. So we'll see. Dolomite Is My Name is Eddie Murphy returning back to cinema. Yeah. So it's like a blaxploitation film, but it's going to be on Netflix, so it'll be pretty interesting. Yeah, Gemini Man comes out, and I've been intrigued by this film. Ang Lee, who's a very, very great director and writer. One of his films that have actually I've loved it more every time I've watched it is Life of Pi. Initially, when I watched it, I gave it a favorable review, but after that, like the more you watch it, the more you see the symbolism and the strength of the symbolism and everything, and it becomes a better film when you see that.
Another one that's on this list is Jojo Rabbit, which I hadn't heard about till recently when I saw a similar list to this.
That trailer for it it makes it look like it's a great dark comedy.
Oh, the fact that Waititi plays Hitler in that.
Yeah, Hitler
as an imaginary friend.
Imaginary friend as the moral compass to this little boy. It's funny.
Wow.
So we got another Shakespearean adaptation in The King, with Timothy Chalamet as a young King Henry. Let's see, Jojo Rabbit, like you said, that's going to be interesting. The Maleficent sequel comes out in October, so this is actually a whole new original story added on top of Sleeping Beauty. So we get to actually see something original within a sequel, which is fairly different. Zombieland Double Tap, we talked about that a few podcasts ago. I'm looking forward to that. Harriet, a biopic on Harriet Tubman, and this is when you start seeing biopics showing up on this list, that's when you know Oscar, because Oscars love biopics. But then the biopics are pretty damn good too. Depending
The Irishman?
Yeah, the next Scorsese film, starring De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci. So
three of them back together again.
So this one is definitely going to be one to look out for. And the coolest thing is it's streaming on Netflix around Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving. We have a crime drama starring Edward Norton called Motherless Brooklyn.
Wow. This is wrote and directed by Edward Norton.
Okay, so we'll definitely be interesting.
That'll be interesting to see.
So, one of the latter blockbusters coming out, you have Terminator Dark Fate.
Which, have you checked out the new trailer for that?
I haven't watched it yet.
It looks like we got the same guy who directed the first Deadpool. who directed this one.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right,
Okay.
I'm curious.
A few smaller films coming out. Marriage Story starring Scarlett Johansson. Another Netflix film, which plays into what we were just saying. A lot of stuff going to streaming. There's a lot of smaller films coming out. You have another little like action film, another remake of Charlie's Angels, coming out.
I think I'm over that one.
This one right here, I saw a trailer recently called The Good Liar. What looks like a good deep drama, and it stars Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren.
Here's one that's on that list: Doctor Sleep.
Yes,
that looks like it looks like it's a continuation of The Shining, with the boy from The Shining as an adult.
I'm watching it.
Played by Ewan McGregor, so that could be very interesting.
Okay. And then we had this is when you start starting with a lot of these films. This is
Honey Boy being one, I'm sure, is definitely going to get some Oscar.
So a lot of these films coming up. The Good Liar, like I just mentioned, Oscar bait. The Report with stars Adam Driver, and it's another one focused on. He plays the Senate staffer investigating into the CIA's use of torture. So that's definitely going to gravitate some stuff. Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. Ford versus Ferrari. This is the one I told you about a few weeks ago.
I'm definitely curious.
This one is going to be an Oscar contender. You have Matt Damon that plays Shelby, and Christian Bale that plays
both of them
the driver.
Oscar nominees or Oscar winners.
So that's definitely, and then you have
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2. That's going to be a big hit. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. This is the Fred Rogers film starring Tom Hanks. So this is Oscar bait right here.
Oh yeah, especially for anybody who's got the nostalgia of Mr. Rogers.
21 Bridges is an action film starring. It's a cop drama action starring Chadwick Boseman. Mm-hmm. So I've seen trailers for that. It looks pretty good. A couple other films on here, smaller ones.
Knives Out. That is one I think is just going to be hilariously funny.
It's directed by Rian Johnson, who has a very quirky sense of humor, so it's definitely going to be interesting. It is starring. It has a few big names in there. You got Christopher Plummer. You have Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Michael Shannon.
And this is supposed to be like a Clue style movie.
Yeah, Clue murder mystery, dark comedy. So you definitely know that it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Anthony Hopkins coming back in another one.
Oh yeah, the two popes. So with the names like Anthony Hopkins in here, they're definitely going to gravitate to some kind of.
Jonathan Pryce.
So they have a lot of big notable names, films that are going to be Oscar baits. So we're
going through this. Which ones do you? What's your prediction on which ones do you think are going to do really well, and which ones do you think might not?
Are you talking about
award
wise?
Award wise, we'll get to that when we get closer to Oscars.
Outside of the obvious, they don't have it here, but outside of Star Wars making the money, if I'm looking at this list, what I think is going to make some decent money, regardless of awards are good or bad, I think A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Mr. Rogers one, Frozen 2 is going to make a lot of money. Ford versus Ferrari, I think, is going to be that silent hit. It's going to be that one that's going to chill in the top 5 constantly because you have Matt Damon and Christian Bale, and then word of mouth is going to build on that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
especially because the last time we saw Christian Bale, he was in Vice.
Films I think might bomb. That Charlie's Angels one,
that one seems like
that
it's
doesn't have a very. That's just a setup because it goes against what the mantra of the Charlie's Angels series was, so people might be pissed off at that.
Oh yeah.
I gotta get past. I don't think Terminator Dark Fate, I think, is not going to make the money. I think Genesis put a lot of bad taste in a lot of fans' mouth. So even though they're wiping it out of, wiping some of those films out of history.
So you think that even though James Cameron is back for this and a director,
I'm making a prediction.
Deadpool's director, or the original Deadpool's director, you don't think the two of them, or just the nostalgia factor, is going to bring that?
I don't think it's going to make the money. But other than that, a lot of these are just biopics. I think Zombieland will be an interesting wild card. Is it too late for it to be coming back, or is it that it has fans of the series that have stayed? It's not one of those where it's fans and it died out. There's fans of that series that have been just here, waiting for something. So I think that'll be it. I think Maleficent, it'll make its money. And I also think Joker and Joker.
I think
Joker's going to make its money. I think some of the films coming out this month is going to fail making money or making any kind of stamp.
I think a lot.
The Ad Astra, that big sci-fi film with Brad Pitt, it's not going to make the money. The Downtown
Interstellar. Seems like that one's comparable to Interstellar, and Interstellar was kind of out there.
Yeah, and then I think Gemini Man is another wild card because Will Smith hasn't made some stinkers, but then at the same time he has made some hits.
Yes.
And
this one he's leading. He's not trying to. He's back to kind of his action movie stuff, which really kind of catapulted him, like with Bad Boys.
And he's not mixing in that Will Smith that people don't really like when he goes a little off cheesiness. It looks like he's combining his characterization with the action, if you've seen the trailers.
Yeah.
Especially that he's playing two people. So it does play into that.
I think it'll be interesting.
But yeah, that's what I think. I don't think Terminator will make the money. But I think Frozen 2, it's going to make its money. And that's pretty much it. Everything else will just be simmering right in the middle.
I think some of these will do better in the digital space versus the theater space.
Yeah, I think
But I'm curious. I definitely once we get closer to Oscars, we could and getting close to the release of the nominations.
Oh yeah, once I can do a little sniffing around the award festivals and see what is actually being prompted up.
Well,
but
there are definite some ones that the two of us can try to combine to see. Definitely some ones we could try. Definitely opinionate, get on there. So.
Oh yeah, a dual
good
rolling.
fall preview for that. Since you didn't do movies, any TV?
I did finish up 2 series.
All right, what we got?
So the first one, which is on Netflix, which is a Netflix original called Wu Assassins.
Okay. I heard this one was like another import from a foreign series that was dubbed or imported in, or was this like completely original?
It's completely original, but it takes Eastern philosophies and mythos and blends it in with modern time. So what happens is that this guy is chosen to be the Wu assassin, and he must search for these 5 powers around San Francisco and destroy them. If he doesn't, it's going to destroy the world. Very typical stuff. It's 10 episodes, so it's a pretty easy watch. And
let's see.
And it has some recognizable faces and names, but the main actor, Iko Uwais, plays the role of Kai Jin. He's the one that gets selected to be the Wu assassin.
Okay.
And he has to go around and figure out his powers, but also fight these other 5 characters who have different powers. So he, being the Wu assassin, he is protected by 1,000 monks. So he has a lot of moves. He has a lot of protection from dying. But the thing is that when he comes against these other 5 villains, they all have different powers. So powers.
Why does this feel like Avatar: Last Airbender meets Scott Pilgrim?
Well, you can get that from it, but it's more of like watching an Asian action flick with a mystical,
like some of the
mythos
classics with like IP Man and.
Oh yeah, well, it takes the action like an IP Man, but mixes it with mystical powers. So it plays into a lot of Zen, Yin Yang, Taoism. So it plays with elements. So the 5 powers that he has to counter and destroy, they call it, there's fire, water, metal, earth, and wood. So
Avatar: Last Airbender.
So
because that was the thing. That was the whole thing for that was Aang had air, and he had to learn the other ones, and as a bonus he learned metal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But there's nothing learned in here. He just has to kill these people and take the powers back to the Tao so that everything can be restored and balanced.
Okay.
So there's a mixture of a lot of different characters in there because the guy Kai, who's chosen as the Wu assassin, he has friends, and he's also tied to the Chinese triad. So you have a little crime drama action element mixed in there, along with the mythos of all the magic and the powers. So each episode, it levels out what the mythos is, and you learn backstories of certain characters throughout. But what makes this series enjoyable is the action. The action is pristine, like top notch. They're not fooling around when it comes to the fighting. So when they are fighting in the film or in the series, it's really top notch.
Good.
Where the series kind of falters is actually the dialogue and some of the character interactions, because it feels like they're just forcing characters to interact to just get Kai to get to this situation so he can tackle the next conflict. So some of the relationships
very much on rails.
Yeah. So some of the relationships he forms are very cookie cutter crime drama tropes or Asian action tropes. So you got your criminal underground, you got your undercover cop, you have your muscle, your pseudo, all your enforcers. You have your top tier villain that you have to take out to do it. But even though some of the episodes kind of fluctuate between the amazing action and the terrible dialogue, like as much as I enjoyed watching the show, the dialogue made me cringe. The acting made me go. But that just happens in the honest truth. That just happens in like the first couple episodes, and in the next episodes they start focusing on the mythos. But even if there's like semi-terrible dialogue, they bring it back to the action or the mythos.
All right, so you've watched the entire series.
So
what would you give this on the Ry review scale?
On the Ry review scale, but overall, when it wraps up, what brings it a little bit higher is that they don't leave the tropes out there to die out on the cliches. So when it gets into the final few episodes, you start to understand the motivations of certain characters, which actually gives them a purpose.
Okay.
So when you drive that for a villain, instead of just being, I want to do this, there is a purpose for what the main villain is doing. So when that happens, you start to feel for him, but you know that it really is a detriment to the world.
I get it. You're definitely saying watch this series.
Yeah, I would watch it, but overall, I would give it on my rating scale a 3.5.
3.5.
It would have been lower if they kept going down that rabbit hole of terribleness, but like I said, they come back around and let the mythos and they actually add motivation to
characters. Does it look like there's room for sequel seasons? Or is this kind of a one and done?
They went from beginning to end. They tell the story that needed to be told here, but they end on a way where there's still possibly more to tell.
Okay.
It's one of those things where it's encapsulated in the one season, and it's good for the one season, but they can tell more.
Okay.
If they wanted to tell more.
Okay.
But a 3.5 out of 5.
All right. That sounds like intriguing, because I was just looking that up. It looks like it's got like an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and it's like I said, if you look at those reviews, I can, like, out of the 85%, majority are going to tell you that the mythos and the action is what makes the show worth watching.
But for someone as refined as you are in film and TV, you're looking at more than just a good action or a good. You're looking for the story.
If it was my younger self, I would just be like all over this show because I would just be all the action. But as
a story creator,
you gotta have the story to make the action worth enjoying. That's what makes the John Wick films so great, because the story is simple but it's effective. So you're always behind John Wick 100%. So
you don't second guess him. All right. So looks like he had another one you finished.
Oh yes,
Queen of the South.
Queen of the South.
I heard Wu Assassin from some other friends. They were definitely, the story and the dialogue made them cringe. Yeah, and they definitely ranked it lower because of that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, and I could see that. What about Queen of the South? This one I'm not familiar with.
Queen of the South follows the tale of a female by the name of Teresa. So through the first 3 seasons, you watch her rise from just being a drug mule to start leading her own cartel. So when it comes to season 4,
is this like was a rags to riches type of thing?
It's pseudo like that, but in a way where it's a slow developing, and it actually focuses on the character development, relationships between her and the other pieces that involve the drug trade and the cartel and corrupt cops and stuff. So it tackles those tropes, but in a way where it levels it with backstory and character development. That is, it makes you like, love, and hate characters, but in a way where it's human to the core.
Kind of like Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Okay.
So season 4, at the end of season 3, she's already wrapped up what she needed to do in Arizona and Phoenix, and she's moved her main business into New Orleans. She's using New Orleans.
There's a climate change.
So she's using New Orleans as a front to bring in her cartel, bringing the cocaine through there to navigate out to Atlanta, Miami, service out of Mexico to Arizona. So she's building her empire. So the whole point of moving to New Orleans is to build her empire. But she runs in some issue with the local judge and some of the local gangs that already play in this playground of New Orleans on the underground belly. So season 4 focuses on actually moving her character even further into becoming that elite cartel person that she feared because she struggles with it, because she's very human to the core. Teresa, that's the main character, and even though she runs a cartel and they do really terrible things, she has a conscience that she doesn't want to try to do it a certain way. She always wants to find a more diplomatic way. So in this season, you watch her turn. You watch her where she pretty much doesn't give.
She starts to become the monster.
She starts to become the monster that was foreshadowed in the first episode of the first season. And that becomes because she starts to get involved with the Russian mob. She wants to get in connections with New York. So she's trying to build her empire because she has the purest cocaine. Because it comes straight from her supplier. She has a connection straight to the supplier. There's no going through back channel. No, she has a straight connection to the supplier. So season 4, you just watch her grow her empire, dealing with the drama in New Orleans, but also becoming that person she didn't want to be, but she has to be. Mm-hmm. There are certain things there are trigger events that happen in this season that push her.
So Little Assassins was 1 season, 8 episodes?
Yeah, or 10.
10 episodes? Yeah. Queen of the South is 4 seasons?
It's 4 seasons, about, I can't remember the episode count, but it's about 13 apiece each season.
Wow. Okay, so what's our Ry reviews?
Ry reviews for season 4. Season 4 did a great job of moving the story, moving the characters forward, and planting the seeds for where Teresa is going to end up down the road. Right. So I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
4 out of 5.
And this is a stronger story.
It's a stronger story. It's had more seasons to develop it, but by the time you get to season 4, you already know.
They found a way to keep it fresh.
So I think
it feels like if you're fighting that whole, yes, you're the monster.
Yeah.
Everyone fears. You're fighting that.
But they do a twist on that. It's not that everybody fears. It's that it's one that she doesn't want to become, and she molds her human careness within being a cartel leader, so that fusion becomes, instead of the conflict, it becomes a fusion. So she cares, but she will pull the trigger if she needs to. So that's the part of the story where she didn't want to do.
Okay.
She had people that did it, and then she had people that worked for her that did it. But now that like I said, there are certain trigger events in this season that pushes her. Like, she just pretty much says, "Screw it."
Man, I'm gonna get my hands dirty.
So, and like the previous season, the way it ends, it leads into season 5.
Okay.
So there's bigger fish to fry, because, like I said, she starts playing with the Russian mob. So moving on up. Instead of just being a cartel leader in Mexico, she's starting to deal with the mob.
Yeah, the Russian
in New York.
Oof.
So
New
I'm
Orleans
guessing
to New York.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I'm guessing the season 5 is going to move her operations to New York because she's got a foothold in New Orleans now. She's got a foothold in Miami. She's got connections in Atlanta. She already has Texas and Arizona, and part of Mexico. So.
Oh yeah, she's definitely. All right.
I would if you find the time, definitely check out both.
Okay.
Knowing
where's Queen of the South?
Knowing you.
Where can I find Queen of the South?
The first 3 seasons are on Netflix.
Okay. 4th season is where?
4th season. Well, they just finished. They just wrapped up on USA because it's a
USA.
USA.
So it's a network television.
Yeah, network
show.
television. It's on USA.
USA has not had a bad track record. I used to do Burn Notice.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. That one was fairly interesting.
But yeah, I would definitely knowing you, how you like a good story and good dialogue. Queen of the South would wet your whistle because you like that growth where she came from, where she at. Watch the first 3 seasons on Netflix. All right, get through at least the first season.
And wait to see when the 4th one drops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm guessing by the time you get through the 3 seasons, the 4th will get on Netflix.
Okay, so definitely recommend that one.
And Wu Assassins you can watch in a weekend. Like it's one of those where I piecemealed it. A couple episodes, a couple more episodes.
Yeah. My schedule is kind of crazy, but I'll see what I can do with that. All right.
So now I did sneak in a couple new shows that we'll be reviewing down the road.
What's that?
Me and my girlfriend started watching a British crime drama called Broadchurch. On Netflix.
Dude, that is an awesome show.
Yeah, it's really intense, and I like it. Another one that I just started
watching.
You know
they did an American version of that too with David Tennant.
Yeah, I saw. I never watched it, but I'm watching the British version first.
It's so weird because I think if I remember right, it was the next role he did after Doctor Who, so it was just this big shift in his, and you really kind of dial in to see he's got range.
So that would probably be the next series I review. The other one, just because I just had it plugged in my ear, I was like, I'm gonna start watching it. Mindhunters on Netflix.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it, but so far
I'm gonna try and
so
finish
far
up
it
the
has
boys.
potential. It has potential to be on a top 10 list.
Okay.
Mindhunters.
Well, I'm trying to finish up the boys,
and we can probably talk about that.
And after that, on my particular queue,
it's Carnival Row.
Yeah, Carnival Row.
Okay, that was just thrown to the wind to see if I could guess.
Carnival Row season 1. That one, I'm curious. So, almost done with the boy. I'm halfway through the boys now. So,
okay,
finishing up episode 4 now. So we'll see how it goes on there. Our last thing for tonight is going to be getting into some story discussion.
Dun, 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 dun,
So
dun.
here's what we got. I'm going to make a little notes section so I keep track of this. All right. So, as we've talked before, we do D&D games here at the clubhouse.
So I've heard.
Yes. And I've had several friends all express an interest or curiosity about these games that I run.
Yeah.
Well, one of them I did for my son and his friends, so to help my son with some of his social awkwardness, and to provide a space for them to come and hang out, and
that's always good because if you're a person that really doesn't like to interact, bringing to the house is another good way. That's what I did in high school.
And the beauty of D&D is it's collaborative storytelling. So you have your player characters. And then you have your dungeon master, and the dungeon master weaves the world story and plays all of the characters the player characters will interact with.
Okay.
So the dungeon that's the role. The dungeon master is the main storyteller, but unlike some other mediums, one of the games that are really successful and really kind of stick out are the ones where it's the player character's interaction that drives the story. They are the heroes of the story, or the villains, or whatever. But it's their personalities will affect the story. Now, they have done Uh-oh. We're being invaded.
Invasion of the Z.
Invasion of the Skittles.
Oh no!
What's up, Skittles?
I love Skittles.
You need your iPad. Yes, we are. Mic is on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Uh-huh. Bye, Skittles.
Bye.
Taste the rainbow.
I will.
She got a big thing from Sam's Club so she could have her Skittles for the airsoft field.
I need to get me a bag of those.
He gave you a bag of Sour Patch.
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah. But, so the kids, I call them the Teens on Parade group, right? Helps easier for the calendar. Well, we started off with the D&D adventure Out of the Abyss, which has part of an arcing story about demons invading the Underdark in Faerun.
Okay.
It's kind of a canon book adventure.
Keep it standard, keep them focused.
Well,
Somewhere
the problem
to start.
with that is these kids like to use the internet, Google, and they like to think that, and they think that, okay, just because it's written in the book, it will happen the way it's written in the book. And
tree falls here, so I go right. So therefore, I won't get hit by lightning.
yes, they don't realize it's that realization that, okay, the story of the adventure books are a guide, and it may not happen that way.
Yeah, I remember that from a long time ago when I did my own kind of dice game, and I kind of infused D&D with Dragon Ball Z. So I kind of fused it together and created my own story and characters, and I'm still mad at this day. When we moved, I lost all my stuff, so I don't know where it went or how it went, and I just kind of gave up.
Well, see if we can get you into this. So anyway, here we got Teens on Parade, and they're going to be starting a new adventure this weekend. They've had the summer off.
Okay.
Because, scheduling, couldn't really have them come over. But new adventure is starting.
Okay.
On Saturday. New adventure is starting. So
moving on.
Now this one is going to be what they considered homebrew. Right? This is going to be a story that I take inspirations from the D&D source material, and I kind of merge it together, but it's none of the some of the broader elements are there, but this adventure they go on will be completely new.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna do an audio record for myself just so I can hear how the story goes.
Okay.
Because part of a lot of really successfulness is being able to improv. So
it's better you're able to think on your feet. So whenever I'm writing a story, depending on what I'm writing, it might take me a second or two, but like once I get knee deep into it, I can go left and right field quickly. Yeah,
well, one of the things, and since you're being you being a writer and a novelist and published poet,
yeah, 2 books on Amazon.com if you wanted to find it.
2 books on Amazon, so you are a published poet.
Oh yeah, Anatomy of the Poet. Pick it up today.
Shameless plug, I swear.
Plug it in.
So, thinking maybe we could talk out is try to come up with some kind of an outline and kind of a couple of arcing kind of storylines to see how these characters roll through.
See what this Ry mind can come up with.
Yeah, so kind of thinking as I can give you you can ask some questions on some of the stuff I've thought about already, and see if we can't collaborate to.
So, is there before we get started, is there like rules like you know how like certain games they have certain rules, you can't do this, you can't do that. Is there like a boundary, or are we just shooting for the stars?
We can go for the stars. I mean, there's the boundary is just. Okay, how will this?
Yeah,
because the difficulty on some things.
Okay,
but we're thinking
just not have like a Deus Ex Machina where like when you get into a situation and you just write a story plot point just to get out.
Yeah, no. This is plot points to kind of get them engaged.
Okay,
and to kind of help lay the groundwork, lay the yellow brick road.
Give them the premise. So
Yeah.
say like okay, I got
So
it.
this is our premise for our first story, and
Okay.
I want to do this in kind of a set. I think what's going to work best because, kids today seem to have attention spans that are like minuscule.
Well, you have Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, so every 5 seconds you're looking at a new video. So,
But the way I want to do this is I want to do this as a series of episodic adventures.
so like a Telltale series.
Yeah, but there's the arcing connection across the season
Okay.
isn't very pronounced.
Okay.
But it's here. Okay, a lot like a lot of so I guess you could animate a lot of TV series. It's like, all right, this episode has this point in the path, but there are elements that will carry forward later.
Okay.
Like, depending on how they interact, it's like, okay, do they make enemies? Do they make new friends? What's the kind of goal we should set
Okay.
for a start for going through these episodes? So our first episode is going to be, and it's like, so far all I've come up with is I've come up with this airship,
Okay. An airship,
which, talking with Skittles today, we're going to make it an amphibious ship.
amphibious ship. So
Think
is
the
it-
helicarrier from Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Or
so,
no, the first Avengers.
Well, it was an Age of Ultron too. So
yeah, but think of the helicarrier.
So it goes from water to air.
Yep, water to
Okay.
air. But we're going to start in the air.
Okay, we're in the air with the helicarrier.
The ship is called the Prancing Unicorn.
I approve of the name.
All right. The airship has its standard crew complement, but it's also got, but of the command crew, we have our captain, we have our first mate, and we have the ship's wizard or magic user. That person is responsible for range defense and attacks on the ship
Okay.
of an arcane nature. The ship does have its own ballistic type armaments.
So you have a certain kind of like mystical missiles and
Yeah.
Projectiles.
Yep,
related
healing,
to,
mending,
okay.
also shields, lightning, all of those types of things, battle related. So we have that, and then we have our player characters who are going to be passengers on this particular voyage.
Okay.
So one of the first challenges is it's like, okay, why are they passengers?
Why are they passengers? What's the setting? What kind of setting?
That's one of the first questions.
Okay.
Like, why are they passengers on this ship?
Okay. Are they passengers because they're the captain is probably stowing them away, taking them from a land where there's conflict, trying to get them to a land that is less than conflicted.
Okay, refugees.
Yeah, refugees of some kind.
I had not really. That's an option.
So, notated that you have a magic user on the ship. So you have your mate, your captain, and then you have the magic user.
Yeah.
So therefore, this world is full of magic.
Yep.
So you can have warring factions that are causing conflict for the civilians in this area.
Okay.
So you have warlords that have ties to elemental powers. So the people that get caught in the hayfire are the people that are low citizens. They're not the high tier citizens. I'm just going to use rich as the term. So they're not of the higher class. So the higher class are the ones that have have the ability to learn the elemental powers. So because of the high class, there's probably different factions, and the different factions are constantly in battle and war, which causes these refugees to having to escape. So the captain is probably a member, has an alliance with one of the factions, which is a neutral faction, say like a Switzerland faction. So
the captain is kind of a farrier
for
refugees.
For the refugees, and he has a familial connection with one of the factions that kind of stays neutral between the warring other. You can figure out the number. Let's start with 4 other factions.
Yeah.
That have knowledge of the elemental powers.
I'll go with neutrality with
Yeah.
a distant faction.
Yeah, distant faction, and their powers are a mystery. Like, you really don't know what kind of powers they have or what kind of elemental degree, but you do know that whenever they activate it, it is serious business. So that's why they stay neutral, because they are the strongest of the. I'm going to use the 4. They're the strongest of the 5, but they stay neutral between these.
5's a good.
Yeah.
I hate to. It sounds stereotypical, but Asian inspired.
Yeah, well.
Because you have your 5 elements.
Yeah, 5 elements.
So five factions could be good.
So this neutral faction just stays neutral because they have more of a historical context of what's going on, and they rather just stay back.
So we have our ship, which is the ship is
Transport.
traversing from one region to another.
Yeah, and the neutral faction is the one that helps these refugees get from there to there. AKA why you have that magic user. He's part of that neutral faction.
So we have our player characters, our refugees.
Yeah.
I like that. Because I was trying to... some of the stuff, it's like, okay, what can we kind of go with? So player characters are refugees. Now, what do you think? Should this be like they're under pretense of refuge? They're refugees, but they're not openly that they're refugees. Is it kind of a
You can have a
Underground Railroad type
Yeah.
thing?
I would think you should have a mixed bag because you have character and classes. You have different classes.
Mm-hmm.
So the refugees could be a mixture of just lowly citizens to people that are breaking away from certain factions. You can have just the outsiders that are like thievery of kind. So it could be a mixed bag of all the kind of different archetypes. But I definitely would allow the refugees to be able to have some tie to that high class that have access to those elemental powers. So that, like I said, some people could be hiding as refugees that are trying to get away. So of course you're going to have maybe a couple people that can do some of those elemental abilities, depending on how you structure those elemental abilities.
All right. So our captain is affiliated with the neutral faction, the distant one that everybody knows is like really powerful, but has stayed out of this squabbling of the other 4.
Yeah, because like I said, there's probably unknown historical context which you can form later episodes, which might become prevalent down the road, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, this is kind of a bullet point. This is kind of an overarching type of thing. So he's got the refugees. What else would this? What else? I guess what else could we kind of set the captain and his ship up to be doing? Transporting goods? Are they kind of a tradesman?
They use the front as being weapon traders.
Okay.
Of some kind, and it's
some type of trader.
Some
Whether
kind
it's
of trader, weapons,
trade goods,
transporting information between the diplomats, etc., etc. Because even though you have warring factions and they're causing stuff, they still are trying to be diplomatic. So that's what they are. And the weaponry
kind of a merchant ship, weapons.
Yeah, and the weaponry are tied to the elemental use power, so they can only be activated certain ways depending on what power you have.
All right, now one of the inspirations for this, just to help you, because there's a lot of lore with this, is one of the adventure settings is a place called Eberron. Now in D&D with Eberron, they found a way to use arcane as science. Like the airships are powered by air elementals and fire elementals, which give the ship its lift. They have the technology in this story is going to be kind of there's medieval elements, but there's also more steampunk style elements. There is actual firearms beyond just cannons and catapults, but actual hand firearms as well as arrows and crossbows.
So every design of the technology is driven by the elemental powers.
The arcane, yes.
Yeah, the arcane powers. So everything from just hand-to-hand combat to actual range weapons, depending on which faction, depends on how they use it, who's more elite with it, who's more weak against it, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's and with one of the things is like there's a basically a magically inspired maglev train.
Yeah, there you go.
Using lightning elemental energy to send a train across these pyramids in the kind of thing. So, just to get an idea of the kind of technology, so that elemental thing really works out really well in that. Just trying to find which each faction's kind of shtick, so to speak. Okay.
I think you can leave that up for the Teens on Parade to figure out how they want to define that.
Yeah. Their individual backstories and whatnot, and some of the various things like where they want to be from and that kind of stuff. But okay, so what do you think our first? What are some suggestions on what our first adventure or our mission should be? Just because one of the basic ideas I've come up with is just fending off an attack of some type.
So they're exporting. They're traveling under the guise of sending goods to a certain faction.
Yes.
So
they've been contracted to transport X item from
the
point A to point B,
from the neutral zone to one of the other factions.
Yeah. Or they're coming from one faction. They have it's kind of like old school merchant trade routes. You had your home port. You hit port 1.
Yeah.
This country, this country, this country, and then back.
And because it's the neutral faction, that there's a truce that the nobody is supposed to attack them at all.
Yeah.
So, on this one trip, they get attacked. The ship goes down.
Well, and the attack doesn't. And here's the thing: the attack can be
in the air,
environmental. It could be because of another faction. Yeah. It could be pirates.
Yeah.
It could be I'm just thinking a good way because I want to make sure there's definitely.
Let's go around. Let's come near the end. Make it like it's bandits and pirates, but you find out down the road that these bandits and pirates
privateers
hired by somebody, and right before they reveal, it gets snatched away by a mysterious third party. They get taken out by a mysterious third party, and all you see is a silhouette, which could lead into your next episode. So that could be the end of this episode.
All right. So the bandits or pirates attack.
So they deal with that. They're attacking the ship. So they just work from level to level of the ship, trying to take out the bandits and all that good stuff.
So toward the end of it,
toward the
survivors.
Like you find the main pirate, and then you find out that they were going after the ship because one of the refugees is important.
And so survivors escape, but as they're escaping, something else takes them out to kind of hook into the next one.
So the reason the pirates were there, they were trying to be a distraction of some kind because there's something on that ship. And right before he would reveal, a third party / silhouette takes him out. And then
so that's we get a Raiders of the Ark, Raiders
and
Lost
then
Ark kind of vibe.
And then the captain comes to them and says, "You must protect this," and then you don't know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how it ends with the silhouette of somebody taking out the pirates, but also the captain saying that from here on out it's you. So then he lands you somewhere. And then from that point, they have to end up somewhere else.
Okay.
Wherever that somewhere else is, or where they're at, you can probably figure.
They could, so that would give them the option: do they stay aboard the ship
Yeah.
and continue to travel? Do they decide to strike off on their own and to try a distraction? That should open.
So
that
that
up.
gives you the option, like, this item we must protect, so we can stay on the ship, or they can go a
It
different
could be
route.
an item. It could be a document.
Yeah,
it could be.
That's
something.
why, that's an item. It can be a person. So that can be whatever. So
Whatever comes up.
So now that you factor in, you have the pirates at the end. They're still out. There's still more out there, and then also that third party, that silhouette of something.
Yeah, because I'm thinking for this, it's
so maybe you have that silhouette that factors in, like being that
Well, the environment they're traversing
Yeah.
for this one is going to be a wasteland. It's
Okay.
going to be like if you took the Mojave Desert, the Sahara Desert.
So Mad Max.
Yeah, they're sailing and they're going to be assaulted.
Yeah.
Either from the air, from the ground,
Yeah.
from a creature. Could have a creature combat just because, hey, it's a barren wasteland.
Yeah.
And just like the Pacific, because it's such a vast void, anytime there's potential prey comes up, everything will come out of like random nowhere.
Yep.
So
there's a good first episode.
oh yeah. So I guess we'll tune in. Excuse me. I guess we have to tune in next week to see how that plays out.
Well, yeah, definitely look forward to seeing where we can go for episode 2.
Oh yeah, we can start doing our episodic.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah.
Dun.
That's that game. The other one, and this is a smaller piece. Real quick, we can kind of hit on. So I have another group, and
Okay.
they're going through the starter adventure that was released, which is called The Mines of Feller.
Okay.
Philander. I can never pronounce it, but anyways. Here's where this story has gone off the rails, so to speak.
I like how you start off with off the rails.
Well, they went through the normal, here's the pacing in the book, and okay, we get this, and then they get to this town called Thumbletree.
Okay.
And they went through the whole town of Thumbletree, they took care of everything there, and they decided as a group, alright, we need to resupply. Where's our nearest resupply point? Well, it happens to be the city of Neverwinter in Faerun. So, this is not in the book anymore. They're going to go to a big city to resupply.
Okay. Big city resupply.
So, and then head back south. So, I'm thinking that what kind of interactions could they have in a big city?
If you're in a big city, you have to factor in multiple different aspects of society. So different tiers. So is there powers in this world?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
of course. Everybody's got magic.
So
this
one's
more. This one has their. For what I've decided is okay. The maglev train type of thing from Eberron is being built.
Okay.
There is a track being laid from the south in Baldur's Gate all the way north to Neverwinter, and connecting to each port.
Okay.
So we have the beginnings of it being laid, but so it's very early implementation.
So it's old and new world coming to clash with technology.
Yeah.
So I think you can siphon in some political drama in there, because you have the old and new world, so they have to interact and clash with different ideas and factions with that new and old world. So when they're supplying, they might get dragged into various other other stories that might lead them down to learning more about their own journey,
and potentially go off in another direction.
Yeah,
entirely.
go off in another direction, but also could add more elements to their own characters and own journey that they're doing. It's like, oh, maybe there's a reason why we're doing this, or maybe there's a reason we should turn against what we were doing. Revelations of whatever the past is, revelations of the past. So, I would factor in like some political strife of some kind. You know,
Yeah.
interacting with people, you might have to
I'm thinking
deal with
some
some
information gathering because they've made a few enemies.
Yeah.
And there's one character that they could have killed, they didn't. He got away.
Yeah.
And one of the player characters has accepted a contract to find this individual. But they don't know where the individual is. So there could be some information gathering options.
So maybe as long dealing with all the information gathering with the different factions and the politics, you also start to learn about the underbelly of those political connections that might wiggle their way into finding information on that guy.
Yep. Okay. Cool. So just some quick bullet points. That game isn't it's 2 weeks out, so I'll some ponder on this and bounce it off of you to get your thoughts.
Okay.
You good with the story collaboration?
Yeah.
I mean,
As long as I don't have to write anything, I can.
You don't have to write it. I'm the one doing all.
Oh no!
I'm the one doing
I'll pull the ideas. I'm pretty witty when it comes to coming up with ideas. As long as you lay at least the foundation, I can quickly develop a story. Quick.
Okay. Cool.
It's like I can go anywhere.
As long as this is tickling your writer fancy.
No, yeah, it tickles my writer fancy. It's like it's a good compliment to my romance story and my inspiration book that I'm writing.
Nice.
And everything I'm doing for school. So
okay.
When school starts, the creative stuff minus this, but those things get pushed to the back burner.
Well,
so
obviously you got to prioritize.
Yeah,
we got to do the adulting thing.
Adulting thing and finish school. You know.
Yeah. School's important.
Yes,
Rules
I know.
matter.
Oh no. No, like I still work on the stories here and there, just not as knee deep as I usually do when I have all the time to dedicate to it.
I'm just trying to make sure I get an outline together, and then I can get my
this
pieces to work
is a lot of the way I write. Like I'll outline, even if it's within the same chapter, I'll have bullet points, so when I go back to it, I can just write along with the bullet points.
Because I have to develop these characters.
Yeah.
I think the first mate is going to be a Kenku.
A Kenku?
Yes.
Okay.
Kenku is a race that is, think of it as kind of a bipedal raven.
Okay.
Or a human anthropomorphic raven, right?
Okay. Bird person.
Yeah, they're a bird person. Well, their whole history is they pissed off some god or some deity or demon or whatever. I can't remember specifics, but they pissed somebody off, and they were cursed. Where they lost the ability to fly. Well, another cool thing with the Kenku and reading up on them is that they cannot make their own sounds. They mimic what they hear from others.
So they just repeat.
Yes.
Like a parrot.
Yes. So the first mate being a Kenku, or one of the command team on this is being a Kenku. It's where all he does is mimic the captain's orders.
That's just great. I like it. I like it a lot.
So, and I think my captain is going to have some kind of steampunk mechanical limb of some type. I haven't quite figured out what.
In time.
Yeah.
Little bits
here.
We'll
get there as we get there. It's just kind of a general outline. This is what this character is.
And the teens on parade for finally fill in the blanks.
Yeah. We do know that the first mate's name is Sparrow.
Sparrow. Barry just hitting on the noggin right there.
Well, you know. They wanted somebody named Sparrow. So it's like...
It's a bird person named Sparrow. Caw-caw.
Yep. And with a belt of giant strength.
I don't even know what to say on that one.
Well...
Yeah, and I thought I was creative.
Kenku is a medium on the small side, kind of like a dwarf or a halfling. Yeah. But to give them this belt where they have the strength of like a large character.
that just epitomizes the oxymoron of the situation. It works.
I figure it's a few good laughs.
Hey, you can throw in a little bit of drama, but you gotta throw that comedy curve here and there.
Especially with these guys and all the pop culture references. That's what make home games really hilarious.
Yeah. That's why I'm still kicking myself over for that game I created where I fused D&D with Dragon Ball Z because it was a really inventive story I had.
Well, maybe we can work out a few characters to tie that into my world.
Yeah, one day.
Right. Yeah. It all works. All right. Well, I think with that, this brings us to another close, another week.
Another simmering of the sauce.
Alrighty.
Buffalo sauce.
So, as usual, thank you for listening. Thank you for checking us out. Leave us a review and stay tuned for next time.
Peace.
Good night.